let's go lick the...
Alright guys, welcome back to Layton versus Wright. We're continuing on with the trial against Jean Grey Arrow. Oh, there's something trickling down from his mouth. Is that blood? Yes, most likely. The victim probably bit his tongue as he was struggling with his assailant. And you said earlier that some white powder was spilled all over the floor, correct? Yes, hence we expected to find the killer's footprints, however there were none. The killer must have somehow approached the victim while stepping on the floor. After murdering Sir Belduc, the killer left the room without opening the door. Undoubtedly, the crime must have been committed with the use of witchcraft. The body was discovered the following morning by the butler, Miss Grey Arrow. The body was found by Grey Arrow, huh? Thank you, Inquisitor Barnum. The court illustrator's sketches will be added to the evidence. Now, witness, begin your testimony. Tell us about the events spanning the night of the crime, from the evening beforehand until you discover the body. Alright, bring it on.
At around 1 o'clock at night, I excused myself and left Master Belduc in his study. When I called him for breakfast in the morning, he did not respond. The door to his study was locked. A neighbor had come for a visit just then, so we forced the door open together. All the potions and other concoctions from the study have been confiscated. I wonder if they're being properly stored.
Potions and concoctions were confiscated? The victim was an alchemist after all. We were hoping the items confiscated from his study could provide some clues. Besides, such things must not fall into the wrong hands. It may not be standard practice, but it was deemed necessary. The confiscated goods are stored in our secret vault. The only person with access to them is the High Inquisitor, Lady Darklaw.
It has caused me great difficulty, as I have not been able to put Master's research materials in order as a result.
The confiscated items shall be returned as soon as Sir Belduc's murder is resolved.
I shall be looking forward to that.
Defense, you may begin the interrogation. Alright. Here we go. I love the little sword thing for cross-examination. Make everything look all ancient. So you last saw him alive at 1 a.m., is that correct?
Yes. Master had a habit of conducting his experiments at night, so it was the usual time for me to finish my work.
Weren't you helping him with those experiments?
He would sometimes have some errands for me, but alchemists generally keep their experiments a secret. That's why I would always excuse myself at that time, unless Master had some other tasks for me.
And that night there was no more work for you?
That's correct. I wished Master a good night as I shut the door behind me and then heard him lock the key. There was nothing unusual about him, at least nothing I noticed.
And what time was that?
Master would always take his breakfast at 9 a.m., so it was around that time.
So you didn't have the key to Sir Belduc's study, is that correct?
Yes, there was only one key to that room, and Master always kept it with him. Master's research was a very delicate matter, you see. We had to take strict measures to prevent outsiders from entering that room. Occasionally, delinquents would try to make off with one or other of Master's medicaments.
Thieves stealing from an alchemist? I can't tell if that's actually incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Probably the latter.
That's why the door to that room is made from thick oak wood. I wouldn't have been able to force the door open on my own.
She couldn't have entered the room before that, then.
Hold it!
Wait, you mean you broke the door? The only way to that room is in Sir Belduc's pocket. The only way to enter the study was to break the door open. And you managed that with the help of a neighbor who came to visit?
Yes, it wasn't a social visit, mind. He came as a patient.
A patient? Can you tell me more about him? The victim's neighbor is irrelevant. He has nothing to do with this case. I think you're pushing it this time. A witness is hardly irrelevant. What's good? I'm so shaken. He looks as if he's just had a rush of blood to the head.
Master Belduc had been making very potent medicines, among other things. He would get people coming from the town at all hours of the day or night asking for them. And yet, in return for all the help Master offered, people would gossip about him dabbling in witchcraft.
So you broke the door together with a neighbor?
Yes, when I explained the situation to him, he brought over an axe. Then he proceeded to attack the door with great force, smashing it into splinters.
I see. By the way, about that neighbor, who is that? Who is that? I've never heard that voice, I don't think.
It's time for Emil's grand entrance.
God dang it.
Miss me, guys.
Okay, at least I don't have to do his voice, I don't think.
Order! Order! Could it be that it was you who... Where are you looking, old man? I'm right here.
Why is he question marks next to him?
I'm the alchemist's neighbor, and a witness in that case, too.
Oh god, I'm not saying it's you again. You're the guy from earlier, right? Yep, that's me. Amir's the name. How have you been, Bluey? Yeah, I'll just be that easy on him today, since my voice is my throat is still pretty sore. Are you really the alchemist's neighbor? Seriously? I know, right? Freaky coincidence, eh? But yeah, this house is next to mine. He plays the same tune as guitar. That's why I tried to stop you from asking about the neighbor. Huh? Why so cold, Inquisitor Barnum? Mirror drinks faster than a day. And the musician standing next to you. Oh yeah, that's me private bard Burley, right? Musical genius.
Hold on, oh dearie me.
Oh dearie me. This is getting nuts. Well, no use shutting the stable door after the horse is bolted. Let us move on. Witness, since you're already here, you may as well add your testimony. Testify about what you witnessed on the morning after the crime. You can count on me. Alright, so this must be the thing we're pressing on. Oops! Dawned on me then, the witch cast Familia, just like in this case. No, that's not true, because the gem was a fake. Objection! There's something you don't seem to understand here, Mr. Amir. The Familia gem in this witch's scepter is a fake. The gem is useless. Just like this buffoon's testimony. Huh? Therefore, your testimony doesn't hold water. Just like anything else he says. Psh. What? It's like Mr. Krabs and his little violin. What? A fake? You should have listened to the trial more carefully. Yeah, you should have. Now that has been dealt with, Inquisitor Barnum. This witch's scepter is not discovered at the crime scene when Sir Belduc was murdered. Is that correct? Indeed, we deduced that Familia must have been used, however. But the Familia magic gem was a fake. That much has been demonstrated today. What's more, as we've learned from Cracker the Parrot's testimony, the witch used the spell Godor. The fact that there's a green wall at the crime scene corroborates that. We've already had this discussion. Why is we discussing this again? That wall may well not have been painted green 3 months ago. And besides, no one could have passed through a portal so small. To be honest, I started wondering where Sir Layton's and Mr. Belduc's murders actually committed by the same witch. Your Honor, I'd like to remind you that was the Inquisition's claim. He's right, though. It's got to be the same culprit in both cases. And at the very least, it's possible that the witch used the spell Godor to commit Sir Belduc's murder. What? In that case, I will ask the defense to show us proof. Do you have proof that the witch could have used Godor to kill Sir Belduc? So let's see. So we got the new stuff here, the crime scene sketches. The 3 sketches of the crime scene after Belduc's murder touch details this similar. Which could have used... Okay, let's read the details. Yeah, isn't that painting right there green? In the background? Let's try that. Take that! I'd like you to take a look at these. Are those the court illustrator sketches? As you can see from this sketch, the victim was seated at his desk when he was murdered. And what can you see right behind the victim? A small landscape painting. Alright, figured that out. Thank you, Inquisitor, but there's one more point of note. Look closely at the painting. Do you notice anything behind it? Oh, I see it. The wall behind it has already been painted green. Which means the witch could have used the portal spell there 3 months ago. One moment, my lord. Consider how small that portal would have been. Could a witch have passed through it? I think not. Of course, the witch would not be able to go right through it, however. If you look at the distance between the portal and the victim, you'll notice that the victim, Sir Belduc, was sitting just an arm's length from where the portal would have been. The witch did not have to enter the room at all. All she had to do was reach through with her arms in order to strangle Sir Belduc, who was sitting right under the painting. Alright. Order! Inquisitor Barnum, what say you to that? A fascinating theory, Sir Blue Knight. Whatcha? But there is a notable contradiction within it. Where would that be? Tell me, why do you think we concluded that formaldehyde had to have been used? We had a certain reason for it, of course. And what was that reason exactly? The crime scene had been tampered with. How so? Imagine the circumstances of Sir Belduc's death, and it should become obvious even to you. The victim was choked to death. And yet there were no signs of a struggle. Highly improbable, don't you think? What are you getting at? Think about it. Can you imagine anyone just sitting back and letting themselves be strangled? Clearly there should be evidence of a struggle. And since we haven't found any, that must mean the killer erased all traces of a fight from the crime scene. Indeed, that would be the logical conclusion. Now surely it would be impossible to do any such thing had the witch only reached inside through a portal. In order to cover up the evidence she left behind, the witch had to have used a familiar. Without doing so, there would have been no point in her using the spell Godor. Miss Grayle could have done it. She might have been able to tamper with the crime scene. What are you talking about? The morning of the crime, from the time Miss Grayle and that guy entered the study, until the arrival of the Knights of the Inquisition, there was a window of time in which she had the opportunity to do so. We need to look into what happened in that window. It seems we may be in need of another testimony. Witnesses testify about what happened in the time between the body being found and the Knights of the Inquisition arriving. Sure thing, ask me anything, I'll tell you all you need to know. Only two people accessed the crime scene at that time, Grey Earl and Amir. Believe it or not, Amir is the key witness in this case. Gotta do a testimony with him now, god dang it. I broke down in the door and saw the alchemist slumped in his chair. Give me a jolt. The butler heard the call of the Knights of the Inquisition. He never entered the study. What did I do then? Oh yeah, I was just have to keep an eye on things, so I went in to have a bit of a look and everything. All that made me pretty drowsy, so I went and took a little nap on the couch. Wait, what? Mr. Amir? You said the butler didn't enter the crime scene? Yep, he never set foot in there. The moment he saw Belduc, he told me to stand guard till the Knights of the Inquisition arrived. And then off he went. What a resourceful apprentice that alchemist has, I thought to myself. I almost feel sorry for you, Sir Blue Knight. After all, your suspect couldn't have tampered with the crime scene. That can't be, huge? I don't know. True, huge or true? That's what it's. It was either one of those. Defense, please proceed with the interrogation. Yes, Your Honor. All right.
Hold it!
Before you smashed the door, did you check that it was really locked? Of course I did. We tried to get it up without resorting to brute force, but it wouldn't budge. So it wouldn't have fetched me lovely little axe.
Did you think I lied about the door being locked?
No, of course not. Boy, she's so sharp she might cut herself, or me. Most likely me. So then I went inside. The alchemist was slumped in his chair. While we're at it, allow me to confirm something. When you entered the room, did the victim look the way he does in this sketch? Yep, that's it. Spot on. Nicely drawn, too. You know, at first, I didn't know if he was really dead. He looked like he was just passed out or something, tired from his research. Uh-oh. Somebody... Yep. Hang on. Miss Grayle, may I ask you something?
Yes, what is it?
What do you think about Mr. Amir's testimony?
There's nothing amiss, however, Mr. Wright. I can tell that you are what you are thinking.
You can? Well, let's see if you're right.
When he entered the room, Mr. Amir didn't notice that Master Belduc was dead. On the other hand, I ran straight away to call the Knights of the Inquisition, and so, you suspect that I knew beforehand that Master was dead. That's what you're thinking. Your face is like an open book.
But isn't that what actually happened?
No, I knew something was wrong because Master had very fine manners and would never sleep in his chair. When I saw him like that, I was struck with a very bad realization. I felt certain that something terrible had happened.
I've heard about you. The word is that you're very collected and perceptive. It would seem to be the case. It would be more appropriate to call her calculating. Somehow I feel like you're not paying me enough attention here. That matters not, witness. Let us proceed with the cross-examination. Matters not, eh? No need to be so rude about it. Are you sure the butler didn't enter the crime scene? Yeah, like I said, he didn't set foot in that room. I went in and sort of didn't know what to do, but the butler sussed out that situation in the blink of an eye. He told me to stand guard, and then he ran out. She went to call the Knights of the Inquisition, is that correct?
That's correct. I went to the nearby garrison.
We have the records of when the crime was reported. They match the witness's testimony.
I returned to Master Belduc's house with 2 knights. They began an investigation immediately, taking away Master's research materials and concoctions. In the end, I wasn't able to enter that room that day.
There can be no doubt about it, as she is the alchemist's apprentice. She was under closest observation following the incident.
I wasn't aware of that.
So in the end, she didn't have access to the crime scene at all on that day, huh? Alright, we'll continue with this cross-examination when we come back.